I was always told, live the life that God wanted you to live. Throughout my life, I couldn't really see how I was supposed to do that. I didn't feel like I was capable of doing it. With my parents always being so active in church, my mom was always setting up, youth events and everything. I knew that she wanted me to be like the number one kid that everyone looked up to in youth group. With them always wanting me to be the good kid, I knew they would do everything they could to protect me from getting involved with girls and alcohol and drugs, anything they could to keep me from that. Right after I entered high school, I started hanging out with a whole different group of kids, and I ended up talking to the wrong people, and that really pulled me away from God and from church and from my family. It was like my parents were two people that wanted me to be the good kid, but everyone else wanted me to be someone else. Everyone was telling me, the girls and partying and having fun, that's the way to live your life. And it was just so much easier to choose the sex and the drugs and the partying over trying to get closer to God. I was always annoyed with my parents wanting to give me rules and guidelines that I needed to follow, curfews, and always calling me to check up and see where I'm at. But I think the main reason it annoyed me is because I knew I was somewhere they didn't want me to be. I would always find a way to lie to cover up how I really acted when I wasn't around my parents or at church. Something would come up that my parents would question how I was acting or who I was hanging around with. I'd always find a way to avoid the question. I would always find excuses. I would say that maybe I had to work, something to get away from doing it. About my junior year, I had been with about 4 or 5 girls active in selling drugs. I had been lying to cover up where I'd been all the time. I was trying to avoid going to church at times. I was really getting scared about how deep of a hole I was digging for myself. And it was just getting really frustrating to try and remember, what have I told them today? What did I use to cover up what I had said yesterday? If my parents found out one thing, that would uncover everything. I was always scared that if my parents found out who I was when they weren't around, or the way I would act, that they would just be so disappointed in me they wouldn't want anything to do with me.